So the 5-95 rule is to spend 5% of your time planning and 95% of your time doing. Most people are over planners. Most people, we're afraid, we want to be perfect. We're afraid of letting people down. We're afraid of failing. And so we're planning, and then like you never do. Because there's always more planning that you could do. If you're going to start a podcast, it starts with this, usually this beautiful vision of, I want to start a show. I'm going to create a YouTube channel to interview my favorite humans, to talk about blank, to go serve the world. Like it starts with such a beautiful idea. And then quickly your head takes over and you descend into this giant quagmire of just ongoing crap, right? It's like, oh, okay. Well, so who is my first guest going to be? Oh, and what questions am I going to ask them? Because I don't know how to ask questions. So I should go watch all of Tim Ferriss's and Joe Rogan's shows to go see what questions are the best to ask. And I guess I need what microphone should I get? Oh my, I don't know what microphone I need. What about a headset? Do I need a headset? Camera? How am I going to film? How am I going to reach out to people? Do I need a booker? Am I going to do it myself? When is it even going to fit in my account? And like all of a sudden you've descended into chaos and limiting beliefs and planning mode, and then nothing happens. Where the best thing you can do is when you get that initial idea, commit to some kind of immediate action. Commit to somebody and say, hey, will you be the guest on my first podcast? We're filming next week, right? And now you have a week to get it going. And we'll let ourselves down on timelines, but we won't let other people down. So you'll find a way to go make that happen inside of a week. And it doesn't mean that planning is not a part of it. It definitely is. But nobody wins off of the plan. You win off of the execution of the plan. So even in writing this book, like I hung up with Kira off my IG Live, and then I had to start writing. What am I writing? I don't even know what I'm writing. The idea for the book came 4 minutes ago, and now I'm writing the book. So I just wrote what came to mind. I wrote for, I forget, a couple hours, and then I went for a walk with my wife, and then I started planning what the next writing session would be about. And then I wrote that. And then I started, after I went for a walk with my wife again, I started planning what the next section of the book would be about. And so we spend too much time in overthinking, over planning, over strategizing, over preparing. And planning is important, but it's only 5% of the equation. You need to spend 95% of your time actually doing.
Isn't it funny how when you're moving, just moving forward in general, and you've created that momentum that you're describing, how things start to fall into place? You know, I always find that to be what you're explaining is that movement and that momentum. As you're moving forward, other things are always going to get in the way. But as you kind of push forward, you start to say, okay, now I need to plan. Now I need to have just 2 hours here. I have to have 2 hours there. You had a directional pull. I was interviewing a guest the other day, and we were talking about life, and they said it was so interesting how the scatter plots of their life were at a certain point in time when you're young, they're all over the place, and you kind of feel like they're not, nothing makes sense. Like, why am I doing this? You're just moving forward. You're taking the next job. You're doing what you need to be doing. Maybe you're building your YouTube channel, and all of a sudden you look back 10 years, 5 years, and all those scatter plots are actually in line together, and they are spread out, but they're all kind of moving you towards the right goal if you had that as a vision. And I feel like momentum and movement just kind of moves you there, and you're going to have challenges either way. Doesn't it feel better to just start doing it? Nike doesn't say just try it, right? They say just do it.
Or even worse, just plan it, just plan it instead of
Let's wait on it and see. But everything you just said, we're all scared of. So I mean, that definitely, I talked about,
but me too. Like, I'm scared of it too. Everybody's scared of it. It's not accepting fear is a good enough reason. And I think if you want to draw a line between high achievers and everybody else, this is the misconception that high achievers are not afraid. They are just as afraid as you are, if not more, because now they feel like they have something to lose because they built up a reputation, and them failing is bigger than you failing, right? But they're afraid. The difference is they do it. They do not accept fear as a good enough reason. So if you want to move into action mode, say, I'm afraid. Okay, great. That's not a good enough reason for me anymore. The fact that you're afraid is the reason why to go off and do it, because you're teaching yourself that you're afraid, and so you play small. And so the next time you're afraid, guess what? You're going to play small again. And then that pattern repeats itself, and now you develop the identity as the kind of person who plays small every time they're afraid. So something like that. I've got, there's a section in the book called Play Bigger Triggers, where you come up with the reasons why you're not doing something. And we talk ourselves down from all sorts of things all the time. Like, it's not even our friends and family and spouses who talk us down. It's ourselves. We talk ourselves down with this great idea to launch a show, write a book, whatever. And then the next day it's like, I can't do that. I said I was going to do that. I can't do that. Who am I? It's ridiculous. But whatever the reasons why, the good news is, the bad news is we do it constantly. The good news is it's the same reasons every time. The reasons why you said no to that, it's the same reason why you said no to that, same reason why you said no to that. So we have this ongoing negative, consistent dialogue in our head. So what are the words that you say to yourself? So for me, they were scary, difficult, and hard. That's what I write about in Momentum. So anytime I say scary, difficult, hard, I write it, I think it, I'm talking about it, then I have to go off and do the thing. Just because. Even if it's not scatter point, in line with my mission or whatever. It's also not against my core values somewhere, but just because. Why? Because I want to be the person who does scary, difficult, hard. I don't want to be limited by those things anymore. I don't want to teach myself that because it's scary, difficult, or hard, therefore I can't do it. And if you won't do it enough for you, think about your kids. Do you want to be the example of for your kids to say, go do something, but then you're not doing it yourself? Like, they're going to look at what you're doing. Say, well, you were scared, you didn't do it, so I'm not going to do it either, right? And so your great life is on the other side of scary, difficult, or hard, or whatever your play bigger, trigger words are. And so you try to use them as a flip. You can take it to the next level and tell your kids or your spouse what your trigger words are as too. Kids are the best because they love remembering to push you. Like, Dad, you said scary, so now you have to go do that thing.
You're right.
And it pushes you in the right direction.
Yeah, that's extremely important. And I guess we started off talking a little bit about the 90-day tour you did. And the reason you did that was because it was scary and it was hard and it was triggering to you that you wanted to stand up in front of more people and speak and get comfortable. What was the result of that, Evan? What did you feel at the end of the 90 days? Did you feel like you conquered it, or do you still need to focus on it more moving forward?
So that trip was 3 months, and it really had three unique things, or things that happened in the 3 months. The first month was just doing it. The first month was going to the cities, practicing, getting up every 4 days, and just shaking off the fear. A month in, I got used to it. Like, okay, this is like a new normal. I'm still a little nervous, but it's way easier compared to when I started. So then the second month, I challenged myself to, I'm going to go up and not have a presentation. So the first month I had a scripted, it wasn't no PowerPoints or something, but I kind of knew I had a script of what I was doing every time. And when I got to LA, I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go unscripted and see what happens. And so, like, set up a little bit of context and then involve the audience and do stuff with them. And it ended up being better. So then that became the whole second month of, I don't even know what's going to happen in every city that I show up to, right? We have a theme, but we'll see where it goes. And then that became a ton of fun. And then the third month, I broke my neck. And I was in Denver, and I broke my neck on the day before I was supposed to speak in Denver. And so we canceled the Denver event. I'm in the hospital. I'm telling my doctors, okay, but like, let's just have people come over to our hotel and whatever. I'll just lie down. And he's like, you don't understand. You have a concussion. Like, you broke your neck in 2 spots. There's a 50% chance you need spinal surgery. So like, you can't go and do these presentations, right? It's like, okay, so we had to cancel Denver. And then everybody's like, go home. You should go home and rest, go home, or just stay in Denver for 6 weeks or whatever. And then you can go home after. My agent, everybody. And I'm like, no, but helping entrepreneurs is healing to me. Like, doing this work is healing. What am I going to do at home? Lie on a couch all day? I'm going to go nuts. I can't just lie on a couch. And so our next stop was Kansas City, and we refunded everybody the money for Kansas City because I wasn't able to go for 4 hours. Usually they're 4-hour events. And I couldn't do 4 hours. We wrote to everybody, said, hey, I have a concussion. We already booked a hotel room. It's too late to get the money back, or the hotel, whatever, the convention, the conference area. You guys already booked off the time in your calendars anyway. So we're going to refund you all the money, but I'm still going to show up. And if you guys want to come out and hang out, I'll just do my thing and we'll see how long I go. And I'm sitting at the front of the stage with my neck brace on, like ice packs, 4 pillows behind me, just sitting there because I can't move, right? Not the best, like I was moving around. I can't do anything. I'm just sitting there. And after an hour and a half, my wife pulls me. It's like, okay, you're done. And that was actually the highlight of the whole trip, because I'd never been physically at my limit. And truth be told, I was probably done around an hour, but I knew she kept checking my lips for when they were getting dry. So I kept licking my lips, which like bought me an extra half hour of talking before she pulled me off. And like, I couldn't focus because my concussion, it was only like a couple days after the concussion. And then we continued the tour. Like I went to every stop, we continued, and so many great moments. Like I went to Minnesota and I was used to sitting against the like I would sit in a chair with my 4 pillows and ice packs against the wall, because it gave me, I needed insane support to support my neck. And in Minnesota, that the room wasn't set up like that. And I started doing a speech. It's like, I have to move because it's like I'm in way too much pain 20 minutes in. And so we moved me to the back of the room, and then everybody grabbed their chair and came with me and just created this like giant half circle.
Wow.
Where all of the seats were normally these like stadium seats, boring. And like we created this super organic circle around me. And we had so many great moments like that. To then when we ended in Cleveland, it was my last stop. I just collapsed at the end of it. It's like 90 days, we're done. I made it all the way through. And at the last event, I said goodbye to everybody. And I just lay on the floor for an hour or so, because it hit me that like we did it. And so, the question was, did I get over my fear? Well, yeah, we did that in the first month, but then like new challenges came up, and it got to the point where it's like, I have the up here on my wall are the 2 neck braces that I wore for 90 days. And my friend Mark said, well, are you going to keep them as a souvenir? It's like, no, they're gross. Like I wore that every day. 10 minutes a day, I could take it off to have a shower, and then I put it back on. So you're sleeping in it, like everything is in it. But I look at that and it's like, man, I don't know if I could do that again. It's like, that's me. It's a reminder of me being a superhero.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done anything that hard in a while. And like, I'm hoping I don't, like, my goal is not to go break my neck again and have to face that. But it's a reminder that that's in me, that I can do that. And that was, the whole point of the tour at the beginning, is to jump in and face the fears. And every time I've addressed one of my fears head on, the result may not be exactly what I'm looking for going in, but it always ends up in a really beautiful place. Back to your scatter point example.
Yeah, they're always looking at something that where you started from to where you are today. Very few people ever want to go back to those moments, but at least you've gained the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to, if you had to. I remember, and if I'm thinking about starting over anything, if you're thinking about your first 5 to 10 years of YouTube page, you look at those numbers, there's a little bit of uncomfortability that comes with thinking I had to go back to that and start all over again. But the other side is the gap becomes so much quicker, because now it's possible. Once you know it's possible, even though you don't want to do it again, you kind of know that you could if you had to. And
Yeah.
you don't want to break your neck again, Evan, but I know darn well that you now know you could do it. And that was a whole different conquering of fear. That's amazing.